Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a little bit of a deep dive on the champion spotlights for Immortal Hulk and Immortal Abomination. I'm going to be dipping between the spotlights that are being produced by MCOC Journal and the ones that Kabam have given. By the way, they should be out on the forum, so if I remember, I'll put a link in the description to the forums. You can go and check them out because... yeah, I'm not like a massive fan of like reading off of like something that's just kind of like blaring whiteness all the time, and I'm very white as well, so it doesn't really kind of like help out matters. But you know, it's interesting. I do want to go across and talk about some of this stuff. I don't know if like this has any relevance saying January 17th. Maybe Kabam decided to kind of bump things because of like whatever reasons. I don't know. But in any case, let's talk about Immortal Hulk. Kabam is saying the mechanic is Hulk brute force his way through fights, dealing more damage for each rage stack he has, while also dealing damage to himself. However, when Hulk would be knocked out, he enters immortality, allowing him to strike back from beyond the grave and recover damage he dealt to himself. So that's really cool. That dynamic is kind of like Mr. Sinister meets Corvus Glaive meets, I don't know, some other champion. There's just like, not to say it's exactly like them, but you know, the idea of like Mr. Sinister goes from fight to fight. You know, every time you hit a crit on him, he kind of like is there. You know, that kind of persistent nature. As well with the idea of like the immortality from the glaive charges with Corvus Glaive. Not so much with the damage output, but you know, you could kind of bring the same comparison there. So that's cool to know there's going to be a new champion similar to that. Strengths and weaknesses. So strengths degen effect. It's good. We kind of like would think that he gets some kind of degen. Gamma radiation is strengthened by the presence of degeneration debuff. Cool. Yeah, as well regeneration and power gain. Hulk has access to several petrified debuffs, allowing him to counter high regeneration and power gain. Excellent. Going to be handy for a lot of champions like that. I don't know, could you say Ultron? Could you say that, yeah, just anything that's got like Sinister 6.2.2? Yeah, maybe, who knows. Damage over time. The weaknesses are defense ability accuracy and heal block. So his immortality can fall to the trigger due to ability accuracy. With champions that can lower his chances to go immortal will have much more easier time with this brute. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of defense ability accuracy champions. I'm sure there's something that will spring to mind close to when we have to think about takedowns. Hulk only gains gamma radiation from damage on hits, so damage over time effects will bypass his mechanic. So that's something to bear in mind. So the name of the game with the champion is to build rage stacks. Now, as the developer note says here, Hulk's damage grows with every rage stack, but he also deals increased self-inflicted damage. So make sure you have immortality ready. Otherwise, Hulk can get himself dangerously close to getting knocked out. This is when the champion has this kind of comparison to Mole Man. If you are familiar with Mole Man, the most health that he loses is better for the champion from a point of view of like hitting out. This is something that's been like a year in the making, especially with Mole Man being such a not a trash, but kind of like a very obscure champion for the point of, look, you know, loads of signature investment, play him low, high damage output, high risk to high reward. This champion will be similar, except for it looks like the saving grace will be immortality from this. So build up those stacks and see what damage you can do. But then you've got like the persistent gamma radiation. That's something as well. The maximum strength is equal to 100% of Hulk's maximum health. Scales with boosts or buffs. 60% of all damage dealt to Hulk while afflicted with a degeneration effect is stored as gamma radiation. 100% self-inflicted damage is stored as gamma radiation. 20% of all damage dealt to Hulk when struck is stored as gamma radiation. With the developer saying, as you can see, Hulk will store all of his self-inflicted damage as gamma radiation, including recoil damage, so it's not gone forever. And this will be something of interest, whether or not players will be interested to use against, I don't know, Starburst, degen throwing champions and stuff like that, because, you know, that it will be a crucial thing of how this comes into play. Is this going to be another high-risk champion for high reward in damage output? And this is the cool nature. This is what I was hoping would be like a Mr. Sinister type vibe, where you kind of store something rather than just being like quick burst. Okay, you get crit on you, you're able to regen back. This was something that I always hoped it would be, but you know, Mr. Sinister was not. in that immortality. You can see the stats here, but developer note says Hulk's gameplay is unusual because his health bar will fluctuate dramatically throughout the fight. Mainly, it's like it was Aspect of Death. I can't remember which one it is, where you switch health bars. I don't know if it's going to be similar to that. Not exactly, because it's not going to be on your opponent, but it's on you. This can be useful for setting off abilities that trigger off health thresholds, but also risky against heal block or when his ability accuracy is lowered. I don't think we would take it against that node, but it's going to be interesting to find out. I think this is the problem. This, even though it seems like it's quite self-explanatory from the playing of the champion, I think it's got to be seen as this can be a real kind of issue for players to kind of read it and go, okay, so I've got to build up gamma radiation, but as well I've got to consider thresholds of health. I've got to build up something that comes to the end, and then when it comes to the end of what seems to be I'm going to be knocked out, I trigger something. So that's something, as I said, it's better to see this than read it, and explanation needs to, help out towards this. It looks like first hit refreshes rage timer. So if you want to get those rage stacks, crept up, then throwing heavy attacks may be the best way to go for this. And the same thing goes with specials. Developer even says that try landing the first hit of Hulk's heavy attack and comboing into a special 1 or special 2 attack for maximum rage stack. So yeah, that's a good bit of advice there from the developer. Make sure to do that. So heavy and then into a similar way that you do Beardo and various other champions as well. When it's like Colossus. Colossus is another one. Also, another developer note on the special attacks is that Hulk's most effective damage starts off with SP2. Using the long stun, he can chain this attack with his special 1 and whack up a huge amount of rage stacks. So it's all about building those rages, baby. Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about. And here's this threshold of health coming in. It's kind of complex to kind of explain with it. But yeah, so a 25% basic attacks have a 5% chance to inflict a stun. 50% health reduction, I want to say, when the opponent is immune to stun effects or a stun effect expires. Inflict a weakness debuff, decreasing attack. And then 71% inflict an indefinite petrify debuff, lowering regeneration and ability power rate. Man, I think this is going to be a really fun, weird utility, but high damage output champion. So this is going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to this. Once Hulk reaches 25% gamma radiation, he can use his additional chance to stun on basic attacks as an opponent for increasing his rage stacks. Nice. That's what we want to see. There is also a nice amount of other things like masteries that should be playing with it. Stupefy, Liquid Courage, and Recoil. Will this be a suicide-friendly champion? Maybe. It looks like it's definitely being promoted to work that way, and it's going to see some great damage. I'm not a massive fan at the moment using suicide masteries. Maybe there's a time I will find a need, I want a desire to have that kind of like slight change one where you can go and switch between standard and suicides very quickly, but I'm all about standards at the moment. But yeah, this seems to be on paper a good champion. Let's now move on to Abomination. And yeah, I'm still not into this. This here. This is just all kinds of like honestly, I honestly cannot look at it. If I ever get this champion, I don't think I'd sell it, but I definitely would try not to rank it up just because I don't like it from an appearance standpoint. I'm sure it's going to be a good champion. Let's read the spotlight though. And I know I said I would go between MCC journals, and there's no disrespect there. It's just a case of like the developer notes and mechanic stuff. It is really valuable to players to read off. So that's why I'm doing this more. Focuses on stacking poisons on himself. Man, that's crazy. Incoming nodes or foes that place poisons on him would have been handy this month. Will power him up even farther. Each poison on Abomination will passively make him more tanky. However, they can also be spent to fuel his toxic aura, allowing him to output massive poison acid damage onto his opponent using special attack 2. Activate the toxic aura and looping special attack 1 to keep up for as long as possible as Abomination's core rotation. So that's something to bear in mind there. So when this champion comes into play, it's high damage potential, especially in places where you can inflict poison. So if poison immunity is there, then it's not going to be so good. Blocking multi-hit attacks. While poisoned, blocking attacks will weaken the opponent for 2 seconds. Allow it, although this is short, can stack multiple times. Okay. with a lot of hits in a small window, such as Dr. Doom, can be blocked easily and deal little chip damage. That's nice to hear. Healing suppression, lots of poisons means very little healing for the opponent, but that isn't enough. Like Petrify can drive healing down even farther. Nice. Block breaking, acid burn allows many free openings into opponents who are playing passively. Well, block breaking is, well, it's good to know that Kabam are acknowledging that, but that's a consistent thing with the with their AI going up against dropped inputs. But you know, something to deal with. Right, so the weaknesses. So if you're going up against this champion with debuff purification, so is it Ronin, Elsa Bloodstone, Rogue? It's hard to think of loads of things off the top of your head that you know, kind of like shrug them off. And there's many others. I'm not sure if Nick Fury does some element to it. But anyway, moving on. Always inflicted with debuff, critical hits. So yeah, just kind of like, just box clever, I think is going to be the key thing here. Moving on. Developer says each poison will still reduce the effectiveness of healing on Abomination, but at half the rate that poison normally reduces it. This allows Abomination to heal via the willpower mastery quite a bit, even while suffering multiple stacks of poison. So poison this dude, and it's not going to be good for you as a player. Corrosive poisons, that's another thing. Contact with the opponent has a 50% chance to inflict them with a poison debuff. So that's going to be where the damage output is going to be. Developer says acid burn is potentially Abomination's most powerful mechanic if he is fighting on a node that places poisons on opponents. This can help him pull off even more acid burns and absolutely devastates his opponents. Wow, that seems pretty cool. Self-inflicted poisons, max 10. Every 10th basic hit, then either a champion inflicts Abomination with an indefinite poison debuff, dealing 0 damage. Each poison on Abomination grants physical resistance, so you become really kind of like tanky and strong. And developer said each poison on Abomination acts as a resource for his kit. Nodes, masteries, or opponents who inflict poison effects will take him to a whole new level. Ooh. And toxic roll on activation, inflict a non-stacking petrify for 25 seconds. Kind of important, you know, to do that. You know, we want to suppress all that stuff. Inflicts himself with the poisons, increase poison aura. Although his petrifies will not stack within itself, multiple times Abomination can stack with his petrify from acid burn, allowing him to significantly reduce or even invert the opponent's regeneration and ability power rate. So I guess this champion so far is all about debuff damage, where Immortal Hulk is all about not raw damage but kind of amplified. Like the regeneration, staying alive, immortality type stuff. There's a bit of kit in there, but at the same time, this one is all debuff and debuff damage. So yeah, I guess that's really a thing. Abomination's core loop is stacking multiple toxic auras, inflict acid burn at quicker rate, causing massive damage to the opponent. Start with SP2 to activate the aura, then SP1 to fuel it with poison. While building to stack more SP2 auras. Right, okay, so I guess that's it. Do your SP2, do your SP1, and then you're able to do more SP2s. That's, I guess, it. The SP3, this is a great attack to use in a longer fight to extended Abomination's SP2 uptime. Since it increases the time required to consume a poison, however, it can also deal insane damage if used while multiple SP2 auras have been stacked. So I get what. So it's like SP2, SP2, SP3. So I guess there's a different mentality to the way that it's going to be played out. So, you know, it is what it is, and it'll be interesting to see what players come up with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Self-inflicted poison stacks, limits increase to 12, and Abomination self-inflicts 3 poisons at the start of each fight. Poison, petrify, and acid burn. Effects are 30% longer. So I guess that's the thing. It increases the usage of the debuffs, the utility of petrify and acid burn, and as well with self-inflicting. Like we start off with poison effects and stuff like that. So I guess that's okay. Doesn't need to be awakened unless you want to utilize some other elements like petrify and whatnot. There's also going to be like helpful synergies and stuff like that, which we'll kind of go over maybe if I do like a review on this champion. So yeah, that has been both champions of the two so far. I think it's got to be Immortal Hulk for me. I like the idea of the character a bit more. Not to say that I've got any problems against the Abomination. It's going to be more of a debuff based champion, but I like some of the rotations and as well the damage output potential and the immortality side of things when it comes to Immortal Hulk. I think I will look to get it. I don't know if I'm going to go for crystals, and I don't think I'm going to go for arena. So that really puts me into the, I want to say crystals, I mean the featured crystals. The crystals I'm thinking of will probably be those that will be the featured ones. So when the next featured 5 and 6 stars come out, which this one should, I want to say he would potentially be in it. I could be wrong with that one, but the 5-star one for sure. But I need an Awakening Gem, so I need to do a bit of content and hope for the best with that one. But we'll have to see. Maybe like the YouTube situation will sort itself out, and maybe I'll actually have extra cash to invest in some stuff. Apart from that, you know, it is what it is. Not really fussed. But it's good to see two champions that could be worked quite well with Suicide Masteries. That's another thing. So yeah, looking forward to these new champions entering into the game. More so for Immortal Hulk, and I still can't get over the look of Immortal Abomination. That's just shocking, absolutely shocking. But in any case, thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure to check out some content that's located up there. And look out over the weekend as I'll be dropping some content, some sponsored stuff and all that jive. And hopefully get to see you in a live stream very soon. Thank you everybody for watching, and bye-bye for now.